And welcome to Week 5 here in the Huddle. I'm Kevin Cooney from the Bucks County Courier-Times with Dom Cosentino from the Intelligencer as we preview the midway point of the high school season. Hard to believe it's midway through, isn't it?
Really flying along. It really seems like we just got started, and we're halfway through the regular season now.
Yeah. A lot of good matchups on tap this weekend. We'll start, however, with the one here at Quakertown High School. We're at Alumni Field at Quakertown High School, and it'll be Quakertown and Hatboro Horsham playing this week in kind of a really big game for both sides. Hatboro coming off a win last week over CB East. They're 2-2. Quakertown 4-0. What do you expect out of this, and how much has Quakertown really established itself as kind of the second best team in the Continental behind North Penn?
Well, certainly I think Quakertown has established themselves based on how dominant they've been in their 4 games. However, the 4 opponents they've played haven't exactly been playoff caliber opponents. This is probably the first borderline playoff team Quakertown's going to get to face. And on the flip side, you've got Hatboro, which has just played tremendous defense in all 4 of its games. I don't think they've allowed more than 13 points in any game this season yet. So they've done a terrific job on the defensive side of the ball. Quakertown, even though they've lost quarterback Ryan Tinknell, they kind of didn't really miss a beat last week in beating Plymouth Whitemarsh. Curtis Roberts stepping in at quarterback. The Panthers able to move the ball, and it should be a terrific Continental Conference matchup on Friday night.
How much has that offense changed losing Tinknell, you think?
Really, not a whole lot. I mean, they were able to just kind of plug different people in with Roberts moving in at quarterback, and they didn't seem to miss a beat last week. I think that for the time being, they're going to be okay, and they do expect to get Ryan Tinknell back in a few more weeks, perhaps in time for the North Penn game on October 9th, which will be the big showdown in the Continental, but they've got to get past Hatboro and Central Bucks South in the next 2 weeks before that.
Hatboro, of course, coming up this week. Hatboro you saw last week. What's beside their defense, offensively, what is their biggest challenge right now?
Well, the biggest challenge for them, at least offensively last week, was that they really didn't have a playmaker. Eddie Coombs is out for the season with an injury that was suffered in scrimmage before the season, and Dave Sanderson had compared him to Kevin Garland, which is pretty high praise, one of the great Hatboro running backs of the last 10 years. And Darrell Neville was serving a suspension last week, so he missed that game. Sanderson did tell me that he would be ready to go this Friday, and that they'll certainly need him against a Quakertown defense that has done a very good job as well. So pretty good matchup, I think, this week. And we're going to talk now about Abington's win over Neshaminy last week, 28-24. Kev, you were down at Schwartzman Stadium to see the sort of the upset, I guess, in the National Conference. What kind of thoughts can you shed on that at this point?
Well, a few things. One, I think it starts with Abington, and Abington got that statement when they've been looking for. CM Kine looked outstanding. They, really did a good job of kind of taking the underneath patterns that Neshaminy's defense was giving them. For Neshaminy, I think there's a few questions here. One of them is, will he stick now with Brian Titus at quarterback? He had Charlie Martorella in also in that game, but Titus really looked strong in the fourth quarter, was able to lead them back down the field from down 28-10 to 20, got it back to 28-24. It'll be interesting to see if the quarterback rotation continues. Now, granted, they're playing Truman this week, so we may not know a lot about how effective that'll be until later down the road. I think Abington, though, has kind of served that they are the second best team. I think Pennsbury, everybody will concede, is the top team right now in the National, but Abington right now is second, and the Neshamony's close, but it's a pretty good race going on right now.
And along those lines, Saturday, there's another big game in the National Conference this week, which is it's Council Rock North taking on Pennsbury, and what can we expect in that game?
Well, I think right now the big thing is Pennsbury's defense has just been outstanding. They gave up the opening drive touchdown last week to South, but after that it was lights out. South had been moving the ball pretty well in the first 3 games of the season. Look, North has a lot of talent. They've rallied back after a disappointing opening game loss to Father Judge, but I want to see how they do on a big stage, and that's the big thing that's kind of haunted them the last couple of years, that they have not really played well in these type of games. They have Tyler Hamilton going, they get Lee Marble going, they should be able to hang in there, but I think right now Pennsbury's defense is the strongest unit right now in the conference.
Now, Kev, you mentioned Council Rock South. They're coming off the loss against Pennsbury. This week they get Ben Salem in another National Conference matchup. What do you see there?
What I see there is right now Rock South has been able to kind of be aggressive offensively. Bill Fleming has been their quarterback. He's been tremendous so far. For Ben Salem, this is basically an elimination game. They're 2-2 in league. They still got Abington, they got Pennsbury, and they got Neshaminy down the road. But if they want to have any prayer of hanging in any postseason race, they have to win this game. Struggled last week. Tim Farlow's run saved them really at Truman. Right now, I think Ben Salem is the team that really has the urgency in this game. South is still in decent shape for making the playoffs because of going 3-0 the way they did in non-league, but they have to win this game too. This is almost a little bit of an elimination game for both sides.
Yeah, already halfway point in the season.
And we're calling elimination games.
Kevin's
That's right.
Elimination games. So.
One of the big games last weekend was Pembridge and Archbishop Wood, and Archbishop Wood with a huge victory when you consider kind of the struggles they had in the first 2 weeks. Now they're back to 2-2. Have West Catholic this week. What do you see as Wood goes forward here?
Well, I think they've really established themselves defensively. I think it was easy for a lot of people to look at Wood's losses to O'Hara and Chestnut Hill Academy and say, well, they gave up a ton of yards and a ton of big plays, to opponents, and that's kind of what we're going to see the rest of the year. But it's easy for people to forget that, they probably faced the two best running backs in southeastern Pennsylvania, and Ibrahim Campbell of Chestnut Hill and Corey Brown of O'Hara. They've kind of righted the ship. I mean, to shut out a Penridge team that really had been moving the ball and doing a fantastic job in its previous two games against Ben Salem and Plymouth Whitemarsh, kind of a statement win, I think, for Wood going forward.
And remember, Wood goes into their league schedule, which should give them a few wins. They're not in danger, I think, of missing any postseasons, but you're looking at what, for them, is long-term. This is a big statement game.
And for a young team, I really thought that for them to be able to shut out Penridge going forward with where they are and with a young quarterback again playing, Joey Monahan, standing in it to play for Jerry Rahill, to get that win, it's going to be very important for Wood because, like you said, they're likely to get into the playoffs in AAA in the Catholic League, and they should be fine. And I think they really established themselves going forward with that win on Saturday.
Time for 4 downs. Last week, North Penn beats Central Buck South after struggling a little bit. What do you see right now of the Knights as they go forward through a Continental Conference? They probably should dominate.
I think it's still dominant. I mean, even North Penn coming off the emotional Saturday night win over St. Joe Prep, it wasn't going to be like they're going to steamroll everybody every week. They still won the game, pretty handily by 3 touchdowns. And the quarterback, Todd Smolinski, is really coming into his own and giving them another dimension on offense that's going to make them very difficult for any team in this area to stop. Kevin, Morrisville got off to a 3-0 start, open play in the Bicentennial Athletic League, and pretty good game against Lower Moreland, only 33-26.
Yeah, and right now you're looking at Matt Cookson and the way he's throwing the football, and he's almost over 700 yards. Passing wise, you're looking right now. They're going to have to find a second threat. They're going to have to find a running threat that's going to take some of the pressure off him. They can make the playoffs in single A very easily. And finally, Steelers. What happened?
Santonio Holmes can't catch a pass, Ken. Super Bowl MVP.
It's hard to believe.
Hard to believe, 1-2. It's early, though. It's early.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions or comments about In the Huddle or anything involving high school football in our area, feel free to shoot an email to either Kevin or me. I can be reached at dcosentino@phillyburbs.com. That's DCOSENTINO @phillyburbs.com. Kevin can be reached at kcooney@phillyburbs.com. KCOONEY@phillyburbs.com. A lot easier to spell than him. Yeah, so. I got more vowels in my name.
That's right. And thanks again for joining us in the Huddle. We'll see you next week.